guys. Today we're gonna solve one problem. Okay, it's gonna take us quite a while. I call it general graph questions. Yeah, you'll see what kind of questions. Some of those actually we've already done. Okay, and there's nothing really new here, but just to recap a few important things. So you can see you've got three graphs here. We've got the parabola, 3x squared minus 12, a linear graph, minus 3x, and 3x minus 6. And we're going to answer a whole bunch of stuff. This is basically the example in page 157. So I think it's worthwhile because, you know, with all due respect, my drawing is not the best. When you watch it, just look to the book in example 15. So the first bit we want to find out is the length AB. Where's AB? Help me out here. AB. Okay, there's an A here as well. You can draw A. So I want to find the length AB. It's this bit. Okay? AB and CD. Where is CD? This is CD. Okay? So let's start with AB. What is AB? Well, it's the difference in the y values of this and of the parabola. But it's not just any difference in the y values, it's basically the difference between the y-intercepts, right? Okay, because this is the y-intercept for this graph, and this is the y-intercept for that graph. So, first thing we need to do is we can find out the y-intercept. Okay? So, I'll write B, okay? B belongs to the parabola. I think one of the difficult kind of aspects of this kind of question, which you can find stuff like that in test, is when it's loaded with quite a lot of graphs, so you kind of get overloaded. You don't know where to look at. So, what is B? Looking at this graph, what is B equal to? Okay, that's the equation. What is B? Yes. What is B then? Here is the equation.
Minus 12.
Almost. Minus 12. So it's being shifted down, right? It's minus 12. So B is minus 12. Do you see it? Yeah? Okay, it's the cube, right? It's the cube. It's minus 12. And then what is A? Okay, so this is the graph. This is the equation. What is A? No. It's 3x minus 6. Okay? So what is the y-intercept? It's the y value when x is 0. When x is 0, all this is 0. So what is A equal to? Minus 6. Okay? So this is the y-intercept, minus 6. And this is minus 12. What is the distance between A and B? Are we looking for the distance, the length?
So it's like in centimeters or...
Yeah, they didn't even give us any units. So there's no units.
6 units.
So it will be 6. There's no unit. If it was centimeter, it would be 6. Can you see that? Are we happy with that? Okay. Next thing we want to know, CD, the length CD. How are we going to know that? Well, it's basically asking us, right, what are the x-intercepts? Find the 2x-intercept of the parabola and find the distance between them. Okay? So we need to find out which x's will create a y0. Now, instead of me asking you, I'll just show you how you can do it pretty easy, okay? Because what you're really trying to find, you're trying to solve this equation. 3x squared minus 12 equals 0. You're trying to find out when is the x equals 0, okay? So, the best way of doing it, in my opinion, okay, is first of all, well, there's a couple of ways of doing it, okay? But one way is to take the common factor, which is 3, x squared minus 4 equals 0. And then, okay, well, let's just do that now. So, x squared is going to be equal to 4x equal to, what will be the two solutions?
2 and minus 2.
2 and minus 2, plus minus 2. In other words, okay, this is 2 and this is minus 2. Okay, this is 2 and this is minus 2. And these are x-intercept. And that means that CD is equal to, what will be the line CD equal to? Length. Okay? You see how these questions are, there's nothing new here, but they just asked in a different way. Until now, I would say, what is find out the x-intercept? Okay, now I'm not telling you, I'm not asking what's the x-intercept, I'm asking you what's the distance between those. But it's basically, find the x-intercept and the difference between them. And it's always going to be double the x-intercept in grade 10. Okay? In grade 10, it's always, there's a symmetry around the x-axis. So if this was 3 and 3 minus 3, then it will be 6. If this was 10 and minus 10, CD will be 20. And you understand what I'm saying? Always going to be double the x-intercept. Okay, let's pause here for a second. Okay. Right, guys, the next one we want to find out OE, this distance, and EF. Okay? And again, you might think like, what am I actually doing here? How do I find OE and EF? So the key here is to look at that point. Okay? What is OE? Well, OE is the x value of this point. Right? OE is the x value. Okay? Almost. You can have a negative number, so you'll turn it to a positive. You'll see. And EF is the y value of this point. Okay? If you're not sure why, I just said, no, don't worry about it. I'll come back to it again. But let me ask you again. What happens on this point? What is this point? It's we use that word. It's the intersection of two graphs. 3x minus 6 and 3x squared minus 12. So how do I find the x and y value? What do I need to do? Done that a few times.
Make the graph equal.
Make the graph equal, but graph is what lines? How do I make it? What do I make equal? Tell me what to write. What equation to write? I need to write an equation.
Make the y values equal.
Okay, so what should I write on the left side? So I'm going to make these two equation equal. Because for the same x, they'll have the same, for a certain x, they'll have the same y. So 3x minus 6 equal to? 3x squared minus 12. When you have a quadratic equation like that, what you have to do is move everything to one side and have equal to the other side. Okay, so let's keep it all in the 3x squared. So we're going to have 3x squared, move that minus 3x to x, 3x, and then push that 6 to the side, so it will be minus 6 equals 0. Did you see what I've done here? Move it all to one side. Okay, now before you start freaking out with trinomials, yeah, we will have to do a trinomial, but first of all, get rid of the common factor. So I can divide both sides by 3. If I divide everything by 3, I'm going to have x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. 0 divided by 3 is 0. Checking that these guys can see it. And now let's do a trinomials. Okay, you can still see it. Okay, what will be the trinomial here? Minus 2 plus 1, correct, okay? So minus 2 times 1 is minus 2, minus 2 plus 1 is minus 1. Okay, we're going to have two answers. What are the two possible values of x?
2 and minus 1.
So 2 and minus 1. Now 2 is this bit. Can you see? Well, first of all, why am I getting two intersection? Or two answers? Because there are two intersections. See, there's two lines intersect here and here. This is the 2, okay? But that's not the one I'm after. I'm after the minus 1. Okay, that's minus 1. So I can see this one now is minus 1. In other words, and I'll write it here, EO, okay? What is EO equal to? If the x-intercept is minus 1, what is the length EO? 1. And this is a key mistake I'm sure people will do. Okay, we found the value of this x. It's minus 1. But the length is not negative. We're looking for length. Length is always positive. Okay? So EO is 1. How would I find EF? Okay? Okay? EF is really almost the y value in that intersection point. So if I know x is equal minus 1, how would I find the y value? Substitute. Doesn't matter which one, because they should be equal. So I'm going to substitute in this one. So I'm going to do 3 times minus 1 minus 6. That's minus 3 minus 6 minus 9. Okay, so this is minus 9. But that's not the question they're asking me. They're asking what's the length of EF. What's the length of EF? You see, I'm converting it to positive. I'll just pause here for a second. Okay, the next step is we asked to calculate the length OI if we know that the length IJ is 6. Now again, I know I hear you guys and you're saying this is really tricky, this is a bit different. Yes, but actually, it's actually really easy. It's just the same question we've been asking before, but in a different way. So, they're asking us to find what OI is. In other words, they're trying to they're asking us what's the x value here. They want to say, what is that? What's the x value? If it was 3, then obviously the distance is 3. But what the clue they're telling us is that this distance is 6. What does that mean? What does it tell you about the y value here? What is the y value here if this distance is 6? Almost. It's negative, isn't it? No, it is 6, but it's minus 6, Phoebe says, because this graph is obviously below 0. So if this length is 6, remember length is always positive, then the y value here is minus 6. Okay? So in other words, I know that this is some kind of value, x, which I don't know, and the y value is minus 6. So how would I find the y value, the x, if y is 6, minus 6? What do I need to do? Substitute, and I need to be careful. In which equation do I substitute it? G, F, or H? H. So I'm going to say, all right, minus 6 equal minus 3x plus 6. Okay, let me just pause here. Somebody's interrupting. Okay, so minus 6 is equal minus 3x plus 6. Okay? The common mistake I'm sure you guys can imagine people do is just say plus 6. Why? Because the length is 6. Yes, the length is 6, but we can see the y value is negative. So that's minus. Okay? I personally will move the 3x to the other side. Okay? 3x, and move the minus 6 to the other side. So it will be 3x equal 12, x equal 4. I see it, you can see it. Okay, x equal 4. What does it tell you? What is OI? Because if you finish the answer like that, you'll still lose a mark. Eventually, you need to give me what's the answer? OI equal to? Okay. Alright? Cool. Pause again. Right, I've skipped E, because it's kind of similar to part F, so we're doing F now. We are told that MP, the length MP is 18, okay? And we want to know what ON. Okay, so ON obviously is basically the x value here. We want to know what the x is equal to here. And what do we know? That MP is 18. What does it mean MP is 18? It means that in that x, we want to find out the x value where this y value minus this y value will be equal to 18, right? Because what is MP? Is the difference between the y values. And you can see that this graph is higher than that. So it's going to be this y value minus this y value. Okay? So what is the y value of this graph? What is y equal here? You tell me, which graph is it? What is y equal to in terms of x? Give me the term. 3x minus 16. So I'm going to do 3x minus 6, not 16, minus 6. That's the y value here. Minus, what's the y value here? 3x plus. Almost, minus 3x plus. So I'm going to write that, and again, this is the place where a lot of you forget. You have to write the brackets, okay? Because if you're doing minus of a negative, it should be positive. You got to make sure that this you keep the brackets. Now, what can I say the difference between these two y values? What is that equal to? Okay. What did we say the difference between these y values? Okay, what is that? What is this distance? Give me the letters of this distance. MP is the letters, and the answer is 18. Okay? So for that x, whatever it is, I don't know what it is, I'm trying to calculate it. If I do this y value, which is 3x minus 6, minus this y value, which is minus 3x plus 6, the difference between them is be 18. Okay? So that's not always the case. Okay, here it will be less than 18, here it will be more than 18. Okay? But for here it will be exactly 18. So we write an equation for x, and now we're solving for x. Okay? So 3x minus 6 minus minus is plus 3x minus 6 equal 18. 3x plus 3x is 6x. Minus 6 is minus 12. I'll pass it on to the other side if you don't mind. 12 plus 18 is 30. X equal 5. Okay? And that means that ON is equal to don't say 4. Okay? So 1 mark for seeing that you've done the difference. Another mark for saying that it's 18. Look, you guys, grade 10, you're not going to start getting marks for algebra. Okay? In grade 9, yes, I will give you 1 mark for each line. Okay? But in grade 10, once you've written that, then you just need to find the answer. You're not going to get marks for this. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then eventually saying that, oh, and it's 5. This is 4 marks, not more than that.
So I'm going to just
let me just pause here. Okay, so the last part here is inequalities. And I know that also is a little bit tricky. So we asked to find for which values of x, f of x is larger or equal than 0. We've done stuff like that, but I know you need some more help. So you got to focus yourself, right? F is the parabola. For which x value, f of x is the y value. So they're asking you for which x the y is larger than 0. Okay? It is a good habit, like I did here, to write down all the intercepts, all kind of points that I know. Okay? For example, I think that was x equal 5. I didn't write it, so I'll write it down. I wrote 2 and minus 2. So for which x's, the y will be positive. Okay, look here. Okay? So for which x's, the y is going to be positive. Is it going to be outside of the parabola or inside the parabola? What do you reckon? Outside, right? Because look, if I'm looking at any x here, what is the y value? Is negative. Y value is negative. Y value is negative. Y value is negative. When does it start being positive? When I'm outside of the minus 2 and the 2. So there are 2 regions of x. Okay? There's 2 regions of x. One is between minus infinity and minus 2. And the other one is between 2 and infinity. Now I was a bit careless and I just wrote open brackets, circling brackets. Is that right, or do I need to change something? Include minus 2 and 2, because that's where they are 0. So these have to be square brackets. Do you see that? Okay? Alright, so you just check from here, below minus 2, y is 0. Above 2 is 0. Okay? Right, let's move on to the next one. Then I stand here, just check. Yeah. Okay? No, that's not good, I understand. Okay, for which values of x, f is smaller than g? Which one is f? F is this line. Okay? F is this line. Okay? For which one of that, which value f is smaller than g? Now, if you've got colors, I think that really helps. So I'm going to draw the parabola as a blue color. And I'm already asking myself, for which value of x, the black graph is below the y graph. Can you see that it's anywhere from here and anywhere from here? Can you see? Below here, okay, the left to f, the black is underneath the blue, okay, and after this, the black is still under the blue. Between those, the black is actually above. Can you see that? So I need to know these points. Now, unfortunately, I know it's minus 1. Okay, we found that this value is minus 1. So what we're going to say is, and I'll write now in a different form. Okay, so we're going to say x is smaller than minus 1, or x is larger than 2. Okay? Remember, you can either use the brackets or you can use it in this way. Can you see this? Just pause here for a second. Okay, the next step, which I think is the hardest bit, is when you have 2 functions multiplied by each other and then an inequality. F times, you find the x values for when f times g is larger or equal to 0. What does that mean? What are they looking for? Well, f and g, either one of them can be either positive or negative. If we're looking for the x value where when you multiply them, they equal positive, that means we're looking for when f and g are either both positive or both negative. Right, if they're both positive, then I multiply positive by positive, obviously it's positive. But even when they're both negative and I'm multiplying each other, they're still going to be positive. So the only places where this is not going to work, this inequality, is one is positive, the other one negative. Does that make sense? Okay? It's important to kind of understand that in your mind before you go back to the graph. Okay, now I understand, okay, I'm looking for a place where they're both either positive or both negative. And I'm scanning. I like to scan from left to right. Blue graph, F, and the black graph, the G. So, starting from infinity, okay, the blue is positive, the black is negative. That's not going to work, right? So that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Even up to here, up to -2. Now over here, when I'm larger than -2, both are negative. So that's going to work, right? Both are negative. Both are negative, both are negative, both are negative. So I can even write at this point, I say, okay, x is larger, or we'll figure out that later. X is larger than -2. Larger than -2, larger than -2. They're both negative, both negative, both negative, both negative, both negative. What happens after 2? Both positive. So is that good? It is. So exactly, that's the answer eventually. X is larger than -2. I'm just going to reverse it. X is larger than -2. Is this the final answer? Do I need a little touch? Add a little touch. I need to add something. It must be. It can also be equal, right? Because when it's equal to -2, then it will be 0. That will be 0, and that will be negative. 0 times negative is 0. So then that's still fine. Okay, guys? Right, last one. F times G is negative. What does that tell you? Basically, looking for the x, where one is positive and one is negative. In other words, it's the reverse of this one, isn't it? I don't even need to look at the graph. What can I write? X is equal to? Less than, and it's not 2. Minus 2. So anything before -2, the blue is positive, the black is negative, and the multiplication of those will be negative. Okay? Do I need to put an equal sign or not? No, because there's no equal sign. Okay, guys, 22 minutes, nice long video. Okay? Now, I'm just going to do the exercise, alright? Exercise 15. Good luck in the test tomorrow.